A long time ago, when I initially did the tutorial on setting zero beat, I made a couple of mistakes in the explanation of how it works. So I'm going to skip all that and try to be a little bit more concise about how to set zero beat. And to do that, let's switch to working in close-up first. Regardless of what brand of theremin you have, it will have a pitch knob that tunes the pitch circuits. There's usually an indicator, a little notch or a white line as there is on this one. Set yours in the midnight position for the purposes of this tutorial. I want to state right from the outset that the way you see my theremin behave as I do this may be different from the way yours behaves. So as opposed to thinking you must get the same results as I do, within general parameters that's true, but not specific. Watch. In the midnight position, we turn the theremin on and it will start to make noise. Yours probably would too. Here we go. And it's starting to make noise. Now you experiment with the pitch knob. Remember, zero beat means no sound or no beat frequency. So I'm going to start by turning my pitch knob counterclockwise, just slowly, and see what happens. In my case, the pitch is rising. It's getting higher and higher and higher. I'm going to continue all the way till I can't turn the knob anymore. And you can hear the pitch just continues to rise. But at no point is there any silence at all. I'll set it back to the midnight position. There it is. You'll have to experiment with your theremin to see what results you get. Listen. The pitch was rising when I turned it counterclockwise, and now the pitch is getting lower and lower as I turn it clockwise. It got so low and now it stopped. Now look, I'm going to continue, continue, continue. No sound. There's the sound again. It started low and now it's going higher up until I can't turn the dial anymore. So I'm going to turn it back to where there was silence. That's right in there. That's zero beat. There's no sound. I can see that it's working correctly by moving my hand toward the pitch rod, and it's absolutely correct. It goes from a low frequency to a high frequency. So I have successfully set zero beat. And if I want to play the theremin, it behaves correctly. However, there's more to it than that. The missing puzzle piece is setting zero beat relative to its distance from the pitch rod, which we'll do right now. Now, as I said, your theremin may have behaved differently. When you turned your pitch knob counterclockwise, you may have gotten the result that I got over here. The main thing is to note where you have silence. Here it is on this theremin. And we go from there. Now that you've seen me set zero beat using the pitch knob to get no sound, just as important is what's going to happen here relative to the pitch rod. The control space is all around the pitch rod, and what you want to be able to do is set the parameters that are the most comfortable for you. That is, how wide, how large is that control space going to be? It's very difficult on a video camera to show you depth while working back and forth as you would normally do on the pitch rod. So I'm going to work horizontally, and this way you'll actually see the size of the control space change. I've made the pitch rod very prominent so that you can really see it. The width of this small theremin is about 17.5 inches or 45 centimeters. For me, the distance of the control space that's the most comfortable for me is about 18 inches. That is, zero beat happens at about the 18-inch mark. That's the edge between silence and sound. So when I'm about 18 inches from the pitch rod, there won't be any sound, and the minute I move my hand any closer, sound will happen. But watch how the size of this control space changes. I'm going to turn it on. I have my pitch knob set at the midnight position, as you saw in close-up. Now, from this point on, it's not important what direction I am actually turning the knob. You need to listen as opposed to watch, because it might be different for your theremin. I'm turning it on, and we're going to get noise. Here it goes. There it is. As I said, I like to have my control space about here. Now, don't mistake that for zero beat. That's because my hand is close to the volume loop, so the sound is being muted. I like it about here. But look what happens if you just let it be and try to do something. It's just a mess. So I'm going to start turning the pitch knob in one direction to see what happens. Here I go. I'm going to put my hand where I want the control space to begin. And this is what you would do when setting yours. I put it here. I want it to begin right about here. And I start turning the knob. Well, the pitch is getting higher, and as I go further and further, it just keeps getting higher, but I hear no sign of silence at all. So I'm going to reset it at the midnight position again, and I'll turn it in the opposite direction. One of the first clues is, as you turn, listening for the pitch to go lower rather than higher. Because you know, as it gets lower and lower, sooner or later it's going to get so low that it will cut out altogether. I've got my hand where I want the control space to begin. I keep turning and turning, turning. No sound. 0 beat. But let's see about the width of the control space. It's still a little messy. There's no sound. So where does the control space begin? Right here. It's about 8 inches from the pitch rod. That's the full range, from low to high. It functions perfectly, but it's very difficult to play songs with just that little amount of space because the notes are going to be so close together. I'd like it out here. So I'm going to keep my hand here. Now, even though I'm not going to hear any sound, I'm going to continue to turn the dial and test. Watch what's happening. I'm turning the dial. Do you see what's happening? The control space now begins about 2 inches from the edge. Turn it just a little bit more. And look at that. There it is. My control space. There's no sound out here. I get about 17.5 inches from the pitch rod. There it is. And of course, setting it this way, I've also set it this way. Perfect. That's the range that's comfortable for me. For you, it might be closer, or it might be even further away. The main thing is you need to experiment. From the midnight position, which direction do you turn your knobs for the pitch to start getting lower? And as it gets lower, sooner or later, it's going to stop. Place your hand where you want the control space to begin. And test. Keep turning the knob. Where is it? About 7 inches away from the pitch rod. I need to keep turning in the direction that that pitch was lowering. Little by very little increments. Just a little bit more, a little bit more. And look what's happening to the width. I'm getting further and further away from the pitch rod. It's a fine adjustment. I'm barely moving the knob. And yet, eventually, I've got it. There it is. Right at the edge. Full range. Has that been made clearer? I hope so. If I were there with you, we could really experiment. Any questions that you have about this short tutorial, feel free to comment on YouTube. Ask me questions. I will respond. Experiment. Find where your control space begins at the most comfortable place for you. Perfect.